Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Optimized Ecommerce Podcast. I'm Tanner Larsson, your host on this episode, and we're going to be going through some pretty cool stuff today, kind of comparing the old and the new, the past and the present of e-commerce. So I've got a really cool guest with us today. His name is Casey Brown. Casey actually was a former coaching student of mine. That's how we actually met, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about that story in a minute. But that's how we actually met, and then fast forward to now, he's working with the BGS team, one of our top revenue optimization guys. And the cool thing about Casey is he's got, and again, this is gonna be part of his story, but he's got like a really cool perspective on this is he didn't just come in learning how to do optimization. He actually was a business owner, had his own store and kind of grew up through some of the, earlier past 5 years or so of e-commerce and can kind of talk about what's different between now and today and what worked then and what doesn't work now. And it'll be kind of a fun episode. And we're just going to jam back and forth. And we've got a bunch of really similar knowledge bases and as well as a bunch of different stuff. So it'll be a fun episode. So Casey, thanks for joining us on the show today. And I'm excited to hear what we talk about.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to share my perspectives with the world. Awesome.
Cool. So Casey, first of all, let's just start with the beginning, right? Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah. Cool. Well, my name is Casey Brown. I do revenue optimization for you guys. And I'll go kind of back with the story of how we got involved and all that in e-commerce and how I got involved with you guys. So my journey actually with e-commerce begins in Colombia. After Colombia, the country, not British Columbia or Colombia, the district, I don't know, whatever. After losing thousands of dollars in the MMJ industry, which means medical marijuana industry, I decided that I couldn't afford the rent in Los Angeles. And I headed for warmer pastures down south. Now, didn't take too much motivation for me to leave California anyway. And there were probably other reasons for going to Colombia, let's be honest. But I was also wondering, why the heck I even stopped doing, internet marketing in the first place. Before I lost the money in the marijuana industry, I was doing some affiliate marketing and some other stuff. I had too much shiny object syndrome though, did SEO, affiliate marketing, this and that. But anyway, went down to Colombia, saved money, live cheap, live off of savings. And I said, hey, I'm not leaving this country till I have an online business again. That was my goal. And I kind of got right involved in the gold rush of Ecom in 2015 with the AliExpress dropshipping model. Now, that might be some old timers say, oh no, the real gold rush of e-commerce was, 1998 or something. But I mean, when, anybody had the means to easily source things from China, you didn't have to be a big player and go there and whatever. That's what I define as the early days of e-com. So like I said, I was one of the many that jumped into the e-com, the AliExpress dropshipping model. And that eventually led me to Build, Grow, Scale. Now, I can't say exactly how I got on one of your webinars, Tanner. I was on so many guru, email lists, and it could have been anybody who cross-promoted for you, or maybe I opted in. I don't even know. But I said, hey, why don't I do this webinar? Well, let's just give this guy a chance, And it was something like, was it called the 6 Pillars of E-commerce or something? Was that the webinar title?
That was one of them, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was that one then. And I was just blown away because every pain point, like every pillar was a huge pain point, right? It was just like, there wasn't like, oh, well, pillar number 4 doesn't really apply to me. No, they were all, there. So it was just great stuff. And I, became part of the BGS Academy. Now we call it Ecom Insider. And things were great. The paying for it wasn't an issue. The money was good at the time, but then things were no longer good. Things started getting really, really tough, and things tanked after Q4 of 2016, right? Right after easy mode or Q4. Actually, I don't know if Q4 is even easy mode anymore. The CPMs are so high. And
yeah, I don't know. Q4 it's big, but it's still it's a struggle now.
Yeah,
it used to be effort.
Yeah. I think it used to be easy mode, and now we have an election going on, another story. But anyway, yeah, this Q4 might be different. But yeah, things just kind of stopped converting. They just stopped working. At the time, I blamed Facebook ads. Now I know I was just putting my efforts on the wrong side of things, or so to say. I was going through Facebook ads courses, worrying about my pixel, trying to coddle my pixel and there were so many weird things you would do, a paid post engagement ad on top of a PPE and, then switch it to manual bidding after you hit this,
this mythical seasoning of the pixel that we all used to buy into, the crap that just wasn't real to begin with.
I wish I was, Eugene Schwartz or these, copywriters of old, Joe Sugarman, and I could just say, hey, I want my ad in this magazine on this page. I didn't have to, pray that I'd get impressions or that they'd ban it or, whatever. Anyway, but I thought it was because I wasn't getting love from Facebook ads, which I probably wasn't because it changed so much. But the main thing was my site was just crappy. We'll go into more on that later, but it was real a struggle. It hurt my ego to see my business failing. The insomnia, the anxiety, all that stuff we all know too well. I had to give up my lavish lifestyle. And I was making tens of thousands of dollars a month in the third world. So, I was Jeff Bezos, basically, of
you were living like a king down there.
Oh, yeah. I thought, oh, man, I have to live home with my parents. My life is over. It was really rough times. I think every entrepreneur I think if you haven't had one or two businesses fail, you're like extremely lucky or just not a real entrepreneur yet. I don't know very many entrepreneurs that didn't have their first couple ideas fail and you don't have to lose their wealth and come back. So hopefully, I guess can relate to that. Another problem was I was, overstocked on inventory. I had about 50 grand worth of product I couldn't move. You actually helped me move that. You introduced me to someone. He basically took all of it off my hands. So that was also a big help. And then another big help, something pretty incredible happened just by chance. I got a message from this guy named Matt Stafford on Facebook. And he said, hey, I see you're in Vegas, do you want to, network? And instead we had some mutual friends and I said, great. Yeah, I'll meet up with you. But sorry, who is this? Like, I know you're in the group and I'm sorry to be previously. He goes, oh no, I'm Tanner's business partner. I go, oh, I didn't know Tanner had a business partner. I guess I was, it was kind of the transition from, I guess, Ecom Academy, BGS Academy to Ecom Insider. And I don't know, but anyway, we met up in Vegas there in person, and I was just completely blown away by what he was doing, which is the revenue optimization stuff. I'd never really heard of that before. When you're an entrepreneur like us in the internet marketing space, how many times a day do you get a Facebook ads course on your feed, or a POD course, or a product something like that? But now I think you do see some revenue optimization stuff because we've been screaming this from the rooftops the last 3 years, and there's people that are ripping off our stuff, or maybe not even some are ripping off our stuff. Some are just, seeing what we're doing and, going their own route. But when we started, there was like one or two other guys really talking about revenue optimization, and we got on right early. So, but back then, we never really heard of that stuff. And then that was like my epiphany aha moment. When it became clear to start winning at e-commerce again, I had to study this stuff. I had to, I guess, what's the expression, like burning the candle at both ends? I guess that's usually a bad thing, but if we can make that a good thing, optimizing the ads, you don't want to ignore the Facebook. I'm not saying Facebook is irrelevant, but I think there's enough agencies and enough help out there. And I think it's just improving, but not neglecting the other side, which is optimizing your damn site, making your site work for you.
Yeah. And, you went through, you had different niches, you were doing the whole thing. Like, I remember, and you were doing some early stuff that's now mainstream today. Like I remember with your fishing site, you actually had partnered with an early influencer back before influencer marketing was cool. And so, even though it was like, the early drop shipping days when everybody could basically just throw up a piece of shit site and grab any crappy product and make it sell and thinking they were good at business, you actually, even as things started struggling, you were already evolving. And that was honestly, that fishing business, if everything hadn't, changed the way that marketing worked, had some great potential because you had this great fisherman who could literally be the face of the product and everything and everything. So it was very cool to see what you guys were doing even back then. So obviously as it's progressed and you didn't know who Matt was, which is, I love that story still. And we still joke about that.
Who are you?
Matt had been my partner for well over a year at that time.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, Casey didn't even know who I was. And I just started cracking up. Casey came to one of the events we had in Reno, and there's two things that stood out about Casey at that time. One was he was actually doing it, and that was during the time he already had the fishing site with the influencer and everything like that, which was at that time was very kind of revolutionary for most dropship style brands. Nobody was doing that. And the other thing was his business partner. You couldn't miss him. He would be visible from space because his name is Gio, and he wore this blingy gold blazer, bright gold blazer. And I was on stage speaking and I could not, I was trying to look at everybody and I kept going back to him, and Casey was sitting right next to him. So Casey became very top of mind to me because of Geo and his blindingly gold blazer.
Yeah.
Plus he was
gaudy to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's interesting. You bring up the influencer thing, because I'm gonna talk a lot more about that as we go, onto the future part, which is the topic about how e-commerce has evolved and changed. Yeah, I mean, back in the early days, it was just a 19-year-old kid could find some weird niche, like he'd cross-sect yoga with pugs with wine, make a shirt that had all three, and then the market was totally new. They'd never seen anything like this. The designs were crap, but they were like, oh my God, this speaks to me so much. I love all three of these things. Or, they'd be
the name shirts.
The what?
The name shirts.
Oh yeah, the name shirts, the birthday.
UIDs.
Yes, yeah. I remember those. Yeah. Yeah. Now you can't target, you can't call out certain things now, right? Like what, characteristics about them.
They deemed it an invasion of privacy because the name shirt game, guys, was huge. It was basically like, they would scrape Facebook for everybody's UID, unique identifier, Facebook ID, for the people who have the name Tanner. And then they would run an ad that's a custom shirt that says Tanners are the greatest or whatever. And it would have my name in the shirt and it would show to a Tanner. And they would do that for every name in the alphabet they could come up with. And then they started layering it with name shirt plus Pitbull, name shirt plus gun, name shirt plus yoga, and layering all this stuff. And people were making a lot of money, but it was smart, but it was, gray area in the Facebook algorithm. And again, like Casey said, it wasn't really a true business because it was crappy designs. They were just throwing up shit. There was no optimization. There was literally launch 50 designs, hope one hits, and make my, and all the one that does hit makes up for all the losses. And that was the early days of POD, right?
Yeah, that just speaks to the mentality back then. I'm going to go, more into this, later, but it was just like, what quick income stream could I just make? I don't want to change the world. I don't want to create a new movement. I don't want to solve big problems in the world. I don't want to leave the world a better place. How can I just illegally scrape user IDs and, send someone an ad for a shirt with their name on it? How could I just, biz ops are what they're called. Most people just torrent them. There's these torrent sites where you can get all these, biz ops for, the POD course. They're all crappy courses. And it just speaks to that mentality where it wasn't a real business. The whole debate of income stream versus a real business.
Correct. Yeah.
Talk about the opposite of a long-term sustainable business. That's the drop shipping model. So I guess, I can just kind of get into now, what I've seen on, elaborate more on these differences and, kind of get into.
Let's jump into what you see the biggest changes have been. What did you see before? Like what was done and then what's working now and what doesn't work anymore and what can't you get away with any longer?
Yeah. So the main thing is the fall of that get rich quick drop shipping model, like we've talked about, and then the rise of true brands. I guess I'll go on a quick little tangent here and just define, a brand because, my mom, what's a brand? I know what a brand is. It's a company, but I'm just going to, quickly, I like to use two definitions. I don't think you can represent or define a brand without talking about two different things. So I'll just go into them. One is a brand. It's the personality of the company, right? It's what they stand for, what they represent, what they like, what they don't like. Think of brands like, Nike, they've clearly aligned themselves on that, social justice, whatever side of the coin that's, pissed off a lot of people, that siding with Colin Kaepernick, and that's made people a lot of super fans, for better or worse. They've clearly planted a flag in the ground and said, hey, this is what we stand for. We don't care if we offend you. We're on the side of, Kaepernick and the social justice thing, or, Gillette did the toxic masculinity thing. They're clearly stating, and it doesn't have to be political. As these two examples are political. It could be kind of like maybe Apple, maybe their personality is like, hey, a computer can't be made a nice computer unless it's $2,000 or plus, a PC. I actually prefer the software of a PC, but the physical body, they're kind of crappy. They're plastic. The trackpad doesn't work that well. So that's kind of the personality of it. And then a brand is also a promise, right? It's a clear expectation of what the customer is going to receive when they do business with you. So when you walk into, say a Bentley dealership, what you're getting. It's even an expression. It's the Bentley of this. It's the Bentley of that, right? You know, when you're buying a Bentley, you know what you're getting into, or, you know, when you buy an Apple, for instance, you know, you're paying more for a premium thing. It's kind of like the expectation of what to expect. So anyway, that's my little side tangent on a brand. Just wanted to define
that's good. And I 100% agree with that. And I also believe that you can't actually build a brand. The brand is the reward from doing proper marketing, proper advertising, building, structuring the company correct, having the mission, and aligning it exactly like you said. You do all of those things well, the reward that you get is the brand.
Yeah. It's about creating a movement, creating a culture. Actually, we can probably do another podcast about that in the future, but I'll stick to this. So the fall of that get rich quick spammy model that we've, talked about a lot, and then the rise of true brands. So 2015, like we said, was the era of selling those like tchotchkes, little trinkets. You'd sell, the Zippo lighter shaped like a fire hydrant in Target to firemen, or, the hair clip that looks like a pair of scissors to hairstylists. And, we've talked about this. There's no real skill involved. Another model was just copying other people's stuff. Remember that? Trying to find people's best sellers, just ripping off their ads and then just outbidding them. Being a better buyer of media on Facebook ads. So now they're completely different. I would say, like I talked about, every niche has been hit, right? They've seen, the cat plus wine plus yoga, the pilot niche, everything, homemade bath soaps. I'm sure that niche has been hit, Two, people are now a lot more wary of these types of businesses. I think AliExpress is even in the lexicon of like just the average person now, just because dropshipping got so big. Even in Colombia, even in the third world, I'll see girls, they post like a picture in a bikini and then the caption says #AliExpress. And I'm like, wow, 19-year-old Colombian girls know what AliExpress is even, so it's clearly, people are recognizing that they've been burned. Most of these companies had zero customer service, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then third, obviously, just CPMs are through the roof. It's just getting really, really hard. It's something that I think I heard on your webinar, maybe one of your 6 pillars, or maybe you mentioned it somewhere else, but you've said this ad nauseum that if you are relying to something, well, you said 2 things. Number one, if you can't go out and spend advertising dollars to acquire customers, you don't have a business. And another thing you've said too, kind of on that same vein, is if you're reliant on making a front end profit on that first initial sale, you probably don't really have a business either. Maybe if you're just a little bit of luck and a ton of skill, maybe you can pull it off. Very few people are making first sale, front end,
Correct.
Good margin on that thing. You need to kind of break even or lose money.
And that's especially true today.
Yeah. Oh yeah. CPMs are just, what are they rate? Do you know what they go up? It's probably like 25% a year or something. I couldn't say, but they go up a lot.
It's massive. And especially like right now, like you said, elections are going on, CPMs are even through the roof. And then obviously as fourth quarter goes on, companies are dumping their holiday budgets and their end of year budgets. And that's another thing that just people don't even think about. Like, why did all of a sudden my ads stop working? Well, your ads didn't stop working. The competition in the marketplace for the bidding on the different available inventory of ads has just quintupled. Yeah. Whether it's from elections or as you get closer to the end of the year, big companies have to spend their budget if they hope to get the same budget or more next year. If they have a surplus at the end of the year, their budget gets cut in the next year for marketing. So they're like, how do we blow as much money as we can? And Facebook facilitates that with the bigger brands by allowing them to just dump massive amounts of ads out there that serve no purpose other than blanketing their ads out there. They don't convert, they don't work. They just are a way for the companies to blow their budget and quote unquote advertise.
Yeah, it's not direct response at all. It's just, like you said, blanket, whatever. Direct response, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know, means you're measuring the result, right? You put an ad and you're tracking everything and you know if that ad did well. You're not kind of like putting up a billboard and you can't track how many people came to the site from that billboard. Defining that. So what do we got to do then? What's the solution? Well, I've kind of have 3 things here and we can kind of just, elaborate and dissect on these. I'll just list them all out and then I'll go one by one. So number 1 will be revenue optimization. That's one of these, I guess, what do we call it? Like the way to survive in 2020, or the cure for crappy e-commerce. We can call it that.
Yeah.
Cure number 1 for crappy e-commerce: revenue optimization. Number 2, having a true competitive advantage over your competitors. And then 3, rockstar customer service. So we'll just kind of go, actually, you know what? I'll just do the rockstar customer service thing first, even though I mentioned that last.
That's huge.
I don't have a ton to say on it, just because I think it's kind of self-explanatory. If I could just summarize it, there's kind of a saying or something now that I've heard and I've repeated many times myself too, which is customer service is the new marketing. When was the last time, Tanner, you had a problem returning something to Costco or Amazon?
Never. They make it so easy that you don't even have to think about it.
When was the last time you bought something on Amazon and found a much cheaper price somewhere else?
Not very often.
When was the last time an Amazon package, arrived late, like very late?
Well, aside from COVID, never. But yeah. COVID, obviously, they told us that they were going to slow their deliveries down, but still, it was still quick.
Yeah, I have it. So that's my point, right? You wonder why, Jeff Bezos is like Pac-Man, just devouring the world, buying everything, because the customer service is just so good on all his products, right? I don't know. Do we want to elaborate that? I guess, you can send.
Yeah, I think on the customer service, you say like, have a stellar customer service, and it doesn't need to be said, but the reality is we see it. I mean, we see thousands of stores a year through the different things BGS, does, whether it's workshops or events or courses or whatever. And by and large, most of these stores, they don't even have a customer service help desk system, much less it's like, oh, well, whatever emails come in, I handle it, or I have a VA that checks the email or stuff like that. But like, there's no ticketing system. There's no dedicated support thing. There's no dedicated support hours. There's nothing that actually conveys good customer service to the end user, to the customer. And so there's a lot to be said for actually treating customer service like part of your business instead of a necessary evil that you just do when something comes in. Good customer service will make or break a brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I didn't want this to be the focus of our talk, but I mean, thanking your best customers, sending them little freebies, if you have, your top customers who spend, over $10,000 with you a year, send them something free once in a while. Have phone support, if you can support it, have phone support. Just treat them really, really nicely. I don't know how to say
the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's just, I'm sure this could be researched and delved into more, but just suffice to say, if you just kind of love your customers is kind of, unusual. I don't know. That sounds too like touchy feely, I feel like, but I'm serious. You have to really treat them like an extension of your family and, understand they have a wide variety of options of people to do business with. And,
and from a very baseline perspective, if we just, let's say you don't like the touchy feely, think of them as your family. These customers are the reason you eat. They're the reason you have a roof over your head. They're the reason that your family has clothes. They're the reason that you survive. Why would you not treat them well? So just from a very selfish perspective, you should be treating your customers like gold, because without them, you don't survive.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. I think we've satisfied that one. Okay, cool. So, what do you think? Do you want to end on revenue optimization, or do you want
to go with wherever you want to go?
Okay.
We'll take it.
I'll end on revenue optimization then. I'll go into having a true competitive advantage. That was number 2 of my list. So, turmeric powder. That was a big thing. I think it still is a big thing. Do you remember when everybody was selling turmeric?
And it was huge on Amazon. It was one of the biggest categories on Amazon.
Yeah, because it, cures every disease. If you get in a car accident and you have a bone popping out of your arm from a huge side-on collision,
sprinkle some turmeric on it.
It'll fuse the bones back together. It makes you into Wolverine from the X-Men, basically, right? So how can someone get in there and just start selling turmeric? Let's say you wanted to do that, right? There's a ton of ways, right? But one that I'm going to talk about is there's a company called I think it's called Smarter Nutrition or Smart Nutrition. Anyway, they make a turmeric that I'll just say supposedly. I've researched a lot. I've studied a lot of biohacking blogs, and I seem to support their claim. But I'll just say supposedly it absorbs a lot better, and it does it without black pepper. So I don't want to get a huge tangent about turmeric, but curcuma. I think that's it. Curcuma, the active compound that fights inflammation and gives turmeric its power, is absorbed very poorly unless you mix it with black pepper. However, the black pepper extract can irritate, can cause what's it called? Acid reflux, right?
Yep.
For some people. And there's other reasons why it's less ideal. And they've done something where they've bonded it, it might be argan oil, but some oil delivery system where supposedly it's much higher absorption and without irritating your esophagus from the thing. So you look at it there, right? They didn't, they probably didn't spend, billions of dollars on this. It was probably, things have been, fused with oils for absorption for, forever. But they now have a competitive advantage, right? They're maybe not going to take over the world and be the
they
best.
They differentiated themselves and just made a better mousetrap, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one. Another random example would be toothpaste. I've seen a lot of these companies now that do toothpaste as little pills or tablets. Have you seen those, Tanner? I don't know if you've seen those.
I actually haven't seen those yet.
So it's kind of like a tablet, like an aspirin. So you take it and you put it on the toothbrush, and it melts in water and stuff like that. And it's supposed to cut down on the plastics from all the tubes. I mean, how many plastic toothpaste tubes have you gone through in your whole? Well, Tanner doesn't brush his teeth, but I mean, for the average person that does brush their teeth.
If I did brush my teeth, I would have gone through tons and tons of tubes.
Yeah, that's why we social distance even without.
Yep.
No. So they're environmentally friendly. It's a new thing. I think they also claim it's easier for dosing. You get a consistent dose and don't overuse too much. So another example, I have a client in the pet niche. I won't get too much into what her product is out of respect for her, but she basically took an existing version of this product in the pet niche and just told the supplier, hey, can you change this? Make this a little longer, make this a little wider, put this on the side, do this and this, and she had a unique product. And it turned into a great unique value proposition that nobody had on this same product. And it's been ripped off, time and time again. But at the time, we were the only ones, selling something like this. And she's not an engineer. She didn't, go to, engineering school for 4 years and, whatever, write up blueprints. So not all of these, I'm trying to, emphasize here that you don't have to, be a chemist or be an engineer.
It can be super simple, right? Like, I mean, the example that I've always given, which is pretty, basic, but if everybody's selling spatulas that are black and you come out with a pink spatula, you have a limited time competitive advantage that differentiates you because everybody else is black and you stand out as pink, and to see a black women like the pink, and boom, you have something that sells. Now, the problem is that's an easily duplicated competitive advantage, which will not last for very long. But it doesn't have to be anything crazy to differentiate. Sometimes something as simple as a color change, a material change, a size change, making something work on a rechargeable when it's not normally rechargeable. Little things like that can be done. And those things are simple. You can go to a private label manufacturer, and a lot of those kinds of changes can be made, for a negligible cost. Yeah,
they're super, super easy. I'll just go through a couple more real quick because, maybe people are getting some creative juices. I don't want to stop them. Another thing could even just be better content, partnering with the right influencer, even if there's nothing really that different about it. What if, what's the dog whisperer's name? Cesar Millan, right? What if he just launched a pet probiotic that was just a white labeled, he just copied the formula of the top selling Amazon product and he's, selling a duplicate of that just because it's his face and he's the influencer, he has that trust and authority.
It's going to sell.
Could be content. We have a client that basically took a ratchet system and applied it to a belt. And I believe they have a patent on that now, don't they? Yeah. So we can talk about them because they have a patent. I want to respect the clients. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just go in generalities.
Okay. Yeah. Third Love. This is not our client. I wish they were. I think they're valued at $1 billion. Third Love is a company that sells bras for women, but they're completely customized. So people have been selling bras since, the dawn of time. And, one might thinking, how am I going to reinvent the bra? Well, they put together a wizard, which is just like basically a questionnaire where it says, hey, what shape are your breasts? What size? What cup size do you wear? In which brand? Do your breasts, all these, Is one breast slightly bigger than the other? Because I think if you buy a bra, I mean, you can't go to Victoria's Secret and say, hey, my right breast is a little bit bigger than my left, which I think like all women have one slightly bigger than the other. But so they've really, carved out a huge competitive advantage by saying, our bras are custom tailored for you.
Yep.
And then specialization too is another way to have a competitive advantage. So everybody now, I guess the new turmeric is CBD.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
They move on from one plant extract to the next. So CBD, right? CBD, for anybody who doesn't know, it's an extract from cannabis, from marijuana, but it's not the psychoactive one. THC is the one that makes you feel high. And CBD just has other effects like relaxation, sleep, pain relief, things like that, with little to no psychoactive effects. And there's a lot of different cannabinoids. There's CBD, CBDG, CBN, there's a million CBs. And you can say, hey, ours is more specialized for instance, pain, right? Like we've selected, the generic CBD you buy in the corner store may have a weird array of cannabinoids that's, sourced improperly. They may have been extracted by high heat, which would have destroyed it, anyway. And it's a wide range of things. We only have this cannabinoid that's good for pain. So if you're looking for, anxiety or insomnia, we're not maybe the best option for you. We really just put the specific cannabinoids for pain or anxiety or sleep.
Yep.
And, so that specialization. So whatever, I think you can add on this if you want. Do you have anything else to add on this or?
Yeah, I would just say that you're right. Specialization is honestly one of the easier ones. And also it allows specialization in that aspect can give you a very unique marketing angle in an us versus them approach. Where it's like, hey, everybody else does this. We realize that we know that doesn't really work that well. We're tired of it. So we've created the specialized version that does this. A perfect example of that is in the car care space. Ceramic coatings are huge right now. It's like one of the most popular things out there for selling. Every brand under the sun now has their own quick detailer / ceramic coating that you wipe on and all of a sudden your car is super protected. Some of them are better than others, but the only thing that matters in that ceramic coating is the silica dioxide, which is a certain percentage of that has to be in the product in order for it to legally be called a ceramic coating. So what do manufacturers do? Well, they put the bare minimum in there, which means that it doesn't work as well. Now, silica dioxide is also more expensive. So to put more of it in your product costs more money. There's a new brand in the market right now that is doing this us versus them approach, and they're running tons of YouTube ads, and they're saying, hey, everybody has like 1% to 2% silica dioxide in their product. We have 15. Okay. And here's the difference. And here's why. We were so sick of paying top dollar prices for not great product. We actually went out and created our own and figured out what the exact right max content of silica dioxide to the other ingredients would be to create the perfect coating. Yeah. Boom. Now they can sell at a higher price. They can be premium price. And they have literally just made the market shift in their perception of them. Like, hey, these guys are the good guys. They're the Robin Hood fighting King John, Prince John.
Yeah, that's such a good marketing angle. You're building trust, you're building authority, you're calling out an injustice, and it justifies you selling it at that higher price too.
And none of this stuff had to be done in the early days of drop shipping or in any of those heydays. It was literally just throw shit up against the wall and something would stick and you'd make money. The problem is now it's evolved just like the offline brick and mortar space. It's a real business world. There's lots of competition, more competition every day. Your consumers are more discerning. They're getting more sophisticated. So now you actually have to build a real business and do the right basic fundamentals of business if you want to succeed in the e-commerce space from 2020 and beyond.
Yeah. No more just torrenting a drop shipping course and throwing up a free plus shipping offer for the Millennium Falcon bottle opener. Oh, God, I know guys who moved to Panama just so they could avoid the what's it called, the FCC?
No, not FTC. It was. Well, I guess FTC's involved, but it's all the patents and just the
patents. Yeah, but I believe you can. I don't know. I know guys. I don't know what the Panamanian laws are, but I know guys who moved to Panama specifically to sell Harry Potter and just This
If
is
you
the
have to
new
do
way.
that, you have
Yeah.
a business that you're too afraid to talk to your family about.
Yeah.
It's a closet business. Like that's not the kind of business to build. If
Yeah, no.
you have to defraud another person or company
Yeah.
to build something, selling knockoffs or whatever, that's a joke. Like
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You have to have a real business these days. You have
yeah, I mean,
to
karma's a bitch.
really offer value. Yeah, I mean, it's just, think about how Jeff Bezos, he or Elon Musk is revolutionizing, everything, Tesla. Like I said, when's the last time you saw, an advertisement for a Tesla or an advertisement for Costco? You don't see advertisements for them because you can get avocado oil at 50% less than any store at Costco. Because you know why you don't see ads for a Tesla? Because it's a self-driving electric car. It's a spaceship for 30 grand. When
Mhm.
you sell spaceships for 30 grand that are, revolutionary, you don't need, spammy marketing techniques. You don't need, all this stuff. You've created a real business, a real value. And yeah, so
Mhm.
anything to say on that? Also, we
No,
can
let's
move
shift
on.
into revenue optimization.
Cool. Yeah, this is the main one too. So we've talked about how CPMS are insanely high, and you have to basically burn the candle at both ends. One thing that Tanner used to be really really big on and amazing on is funnels over e-commerce sales pages. Remember that?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then there was a time when that was absolutely true because very few people had, a full-time developer where you can just say, make this happen, do this. People weren't, savvy to that, or for whatever reason, they were kind of stuck on ClickFunnels and, tools like that made building landing pages easier. And I agree that, by and large, a dedicated, funnel or dedicated sales page will outperform an e-commerce page in most instances. However, when you really get down to this revenue optimization stuff, you can create e-commerce pages that perform just as well, if not better, than typical sales funnels. If you want, you can even take out the header. I mean, you can code a page in Shopify. You can build something in ClickFunnels, give that page your developer and say, make this as a Shopify product page. They could even do that. So there's really no reason to get off the platform. And when you really study this revenue optimization, there's just no need for funnels and stuff. You can just massively lower your cost per purchase,
Yeah.
not from a Facebook ad side. Your CPMs are your CPMs stay the same, but your cost per purchase just gets lower and lower as you do this revenue optimization stuff. And yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So the other side of the funnels though they're great for acquisition. They're not great for LTV, right? They're not
Yeah.
great for the lifetime value, which is where the store was always better. And it took an evolution of revenue optimization of what we've learned to be able. We were always like, hey, how do we make a store convert like a funnel? That was literally Matt and I's focus back in 2015, 16. Like, how do we do this? Like, funnels are doing great, but they're not good for repeat purchase. They're not good for lifetime customer value. The store is. How do we marry the two and make the best of both worlds? And that's where what Casey's talking about. That's where the revenue optimization came from. And you can literally get the same performance of a store or of a funnel in a well optimized store and have all the secondary back end benefits that actually make you real money that you're not going to get out of a funnel.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no need. And it's crazy when I click on ads. I click on ads for many reasons. I like to dissect them, and I like to see the ad and the landing page and all that. It's just so funny how many people have clearly been smart problem solvers in so many other areas of their business, but just completely ignored revenue optimization, which I believe is one of these. I mean, these three, it's hard to say which is the most important of them all. I mean, they're all three, customer service, having a competitive. I'd say it could be the top though. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just funny when people like, they've had, scientists create a better mousetrap in some, industry,
Yeah.
but, I don't even know why it's better. I'm sure it is better. Or how about this? I can't think of the product exactly right now, but I remember one time I'm just like, something just looked cool and it caught my attention. I think it was something for like a camera, and they had, done something new. It took me like 20 minutes of navigating their site to even find what they had done, how they had made it new.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, the jargon term for it, I think is called the 2 second rule or the 2-second test, where if your visitor doesn't know what your website is about, in about 2 seconds, they're gonna bounce. Mm-hmm. So yeah, massive clarity issues. I saw a landing page recently. I think it was for a Facebook agency, and it's just a blank white page with a big black headline that says, "We help e-commerce brands return 4x revenue for every $1 spent on Facebook ads. Get your, enter your email now to learn more." And it's just like, I could have coded this page, in HTML when I was 19 years old. It didn't have any bells and whistles, but it was just, super clear, super, to the point. And yeah, it's almost like a crime, when you see a company that has, so much potential, and that they're paying the best Facebook ads guys and they're doing all this stuff, but they have, for instance, what's some big points they're missing? They have no risk reversal, right? They have no money back guarantee or something like that. Maybe they have really weak or unclear value propositions, like we talked about,
or no value propositions.
Or no value
that on big stores all the time.
Yeah, or maybe they're missing some type of social proof, or there's just very clear and obvious objections that they're not getting. And you see this a lot. I'll talk about one technique that's just been on the tip of my tongue a lot, which is say I'm doing an audit for a client, or I know a friend of mine. I'm looking at their site and I go, "Hey friend, I'm looking at your site, and is this thing organic? Because I would only buy it if it's organic." They go, "Yeah, it's organic." I'm like, "Oh, that's a huge value proposition. You got to put that, say it's organic." And they go, "Oh, it's there. If you just click, FAQ, it's the fourth question under FAQ." And I'm like, No. You need to shout your biggest objection handlers, your biggest persuasive elements, from the rooftops, right? You need to really, drive this home. And this is why, and I don't want to give away this client's business, but I have a client who sells a product. Hope I haven't said too much. And the sizing is very important with this particular product. We have a size guide 4 times on the page. Do you know why we have 4 size guides? Because every time we tested adding a new size guide, it increased conversions.
And a wizard.
Yeah, and a wizard, yeah.
Yeah, 4 size guides and a wizard. So
yeah,
and this leads to the other aspect that we see, and that's the store owner, the product creator, the one who sets up the store. They set the store up, and they're like, "Well, yeah, you said, where's the organic? Well, it's here on the 4th FAQ down." Or what we'll come across sometimes, we'll try to just do a basic purchase. We'll go through the flow and it won't work. And they're like, "Oh, but you need to go up here and click this and then go over here and do that." And I'm like, "So are you over the shoulder of every one of your customers that comes through the store?" Well, no. Well, how in the heck are they supposed to know how to do all this stuff? And that's where you get into this ultra reality where it's like, just because you know how to use your store and it's set up in a way that, even though it's not intuitive, it's intuitive for you because you set it up, doesn't make it intuitive for the customer, doesn't make it a good user experience for the customer. And ultimately, those kind of stores are the ones that struggle the most. They may have the best product or the most unique product or every bit of potential in the world, but they can't make a sale because the store is set up from the perspective and the convenience of the store owner and not the buyer. Like Casey's client that we're talking about for the AMP partners, she does not need 4 size guides on her store. She knows the sizes. She knows where everything is, but the customer does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's banner blindness. It's like you said, you designed it for you. It makes sense to you. The cure for this is user testing. It's a bit difficult. It's a huge ordeal to take on yourself. I have some articles about it, but it's tougher than what it sounds like. But if you can get good at it, you will find, well, I'll just define what it is in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it than this, knowing what questions. The devil's always in the details, but you basically have people browse your site while their screen is being recorded, and they complete certain actions and they narrate what they're thinking and feeling as they do those actions. So an action could be browse the site for a minute, find a good Father's Day gift that's on sale. The product you find has to be, at least 10% on sale, or more. And add it, and it has to be something you think your dad would like for Father's Day, and add it to cart. Then as they do that task, they're going, okay, so I'm going to the search bar, I'm typing in sale, and you go, oh, wow, people type sale into the search bar. I just click menu, and I click, collections, and then I click filter by sale. Oh, maybe I should, put a custom thing in my search, apps. You can like change what populates in your search, or you can put a custom search result for when they type in sale, that'll just take them to the sales collection. That'd probably be a custom that you'd have to program in there, but you could easily, program that. So
whether it's custom or not, it's something that clearly needs to be done when you see that someone is doing that. Again, convenience for yourself. Oh, I know where the sales are versus your customers. I don't know where the sales are. I can't find them.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you just see how they perform, but that'll really get to the heart. Cause I always tell people, right? When we do something called a heuristic analysis, which is basically when I analyze a site and kind of do an audit on it, what's strong, what's weak, what should be removed, what we can improve. That's an HA, or a heuristic analysis. When I do these, I always tell people I can only do them so well for a niche I don't understand. Meaning, if it's what's a niche I don't understand, Barbie dolls or something. I could only point out, the obvious, clarity issues, the obvious, if the site has bugs on it, if it's slow, if things don't follow the prototypicality principle. I don't even want to even get into that. Let's just say that the technical aspect. But if I'm not an expert in Barbie dolls, I don't know, can you take off her shoes and can you change the shoes? Or, what's the hair like, and do this and that. I don't know what the specific objections are, but if you can find people in that niche to do the user testing for you, they will tell you all types of objections that you never even knew that people had. Like, oh, I didn't know that people really, really were worried about I don't know, the Barbie the hair would fall out easily, and all these other dolls, you brush the hair just falls out, within 2 weeks of getting it, your daughter or whoever's playing with the Barbie doll brushes her hair and you got a bald doll after, 2 weeks. I didn't even know that that's something people worried about. But now I'm going to, address that in the copy. Hey, on our Barbie dolls, the hair doesn't fall out when you brush it, something like that. So, I mean, that's kind of my thing, the customer service, the competitive advantage, and just making sure that you're hitting up both ends. You have the highly optimized Facebook ads as best you can, but you're doing your best to convert people on your own website. You have, clear, strong value propositions. You're handling all their objections. The site is fast. The site, has good copy, things like that. That makes it very persuasive and actually makes people pull out their credit cards and buy. And I think it's being less and less ignored every day, probably, like I said, because of people like us, we're screaming it from the rooftops, running conferences about it. This podcast is about it. Something you just almost unheard of 3 or 4 years ago. We were one of the first ones to kind of jump on this, and huge overlooked thing, but well, that's why we're here. We're here to help you with it.
Yeah. And it's necessary now, guys. Like, again, if you're still trying to do things the way that someone was teaching and when they were doing it 3 to 5 years ago, it's not working now. It's why you're struggling. Everything Casey's talking about sounds like a lot of work, and it is, but that's what's required if you want to be successful in e-commerce. You need to optimize every step of the buyer's journey. You want to be good at traffic? Get good at revenue optimization instead. And you'll think you're the traffic ninja, because all of a sudden you'll be able to buy traffic from practically any source, have it convert, and have an acceptable ROAS on it to where you can actually scale your advertising. Without what Casey's talking about and what this whole episode has been about, it's just not going to be feasible. The concept of, okay, I made 2 sales out of 100 visitors, I'll go buy 100 more visitors. That's the old mentality. Mm-hmm. What works and what should have worked back then, and it did, but nobody was focusing on it because we didn't have to, was why did only 2 out of 100 buy? How can I turn that into 4 or 6 or 8? Yep. That is the magic. And then traffic is never a problem again, because once you learn how to fix that conversion aspect and the AOV and your LTV and everything else, everything gets easier.
Yeah, that's AOV. We didn't even talk about that. Yeah, that's another huge part of revenue optimization too, is AOV. We do, order bumps and, post-purchase upsells and things like that too. free shipping calculators can help increase it. Yeah, we have a ton of stuff on that. So that's another point too. Just
That's
not
a whole
only
other episode.
not only optimizing that a sale, but a high value sale. Yeah, and it's just and I don't want to get too off in this because I can't even explain the math, but it's something like when you increase your conversion rate from say you're paying $10 to get a customer, right? And your conversion rate goes from 1% to 2%. You're not now paying $5 for a customer. You're paying like $2.50. It goes down like an exponential. Get my dad. My dad's a math teacher. I can get him on the podcast and come and explain the math to you. But yeah, so it's like for every little bit your conversion rate goes up, it's a massive increase in your net profit. It's not like
And same thing with bounce rate. For a 10% reduction in bounce rate will cut your traffic cost, your actual traffic cost in half.
Yeah.
Which
you
is
think,
just nuts.
10% this, 10% there. No, it goes. Yeah. It's like it's like a logarithmic. I don't know. I need my dad, but
it's a big math thing, but it works, right? Well, Case, this was awesome, bro. We covered a whole lot of stuff, and we've got a whole bunch of little tendrils and tangents that we can jump into for future episodes, which I'm excited to do. So
absolutely.
We're going to wrap this up, guys. If you like this episode, please make sure you leave a review below, either whether you're on YouTube or iTunes or whatever. This is a video podcast, so you can listen to it on iTunes or Stitcher or whatever, but we also do it on YouTube. You can watch us there and also see when we're sharing stuff on our screen. You can see what's going on. Make sure you're subscribed to both because, again, the content changes from time to time. To get the links of where you need to go to buildgrowscale.com/podcast. You can also get all the show notes there and all the links to all the places you can listen to this podcast. Guys, really appreciate you coming to listen with us, and we'll see you in the next episode. See ya.